Aloha, everyone. We are live and inspired today. I am your host, Gregory Cobrana, also known as Handsome Cobra. I know it's been a while. It has totally been a while, baby. I know. It's just, oh, hold on. There's something going on. And, oh, yeah, there we go. All right. Just had to make sure that the sound quality is working. And I will get into that in just a minute. But yeah, I know it's been a while. It's crazy. Uh, yeah, Gentlemen Cocktails, we still going strong, baby. We still going strong. My thoughts videos, I mean, I'm doing one today because I felt kind of bad because I haven't done one in a minute. And I just got some stuff on my chest that I wanted to get off. Have some questions. Have some things. Yeah. But yeah, no, yeah, the Gentleman Cocktails, we're still going strong. Chris and I, we are going to actually see Avengers Endgame this Sunday, which I believe is the 28th. So yeah, 2 days, technically 3, because they always do an advanced screening of it on Thursdays. So yeah, we're definitely gonna go Sunday. We've already kind of made preparations on going, even if something were to happen and Chris wouldn't be able to make it, I'm still gonna go. So that's just it. I mean, our review of it may take a little bit longer, but either way, I'm going. That's just it. Excuse me. Sorry. But yeah, it's just one of those things where headphones. But yeah, we're totally, at least as far as I know, we're both going somewhere to happen. I'm still gonna go. So, but yeah, I'm totally looking forward to it, and I'm pretty excited about the Avengers Endgame to see how everything, and how everything wraps up in the Infinity War saga, and that's what I guess Kevin Feige has called it, Infinity War saga. But yeah, I just wanted you people to see my beautiful face and make sure that nothing's happened, nothing is going, because I'm gonna actually start flipping it. I'm gonna take the camera off here in a minute, so I just want you to look at how debonair and smooth criminal I am. So still handsome, babe. Still been doing. I gotta tell you, being a handsome son of a bitch like myself, it is a hard motherfucking task. Especially how old I am. I'm not going to give away my age. But I am getting up there. If you can see the gray in my beard. And I'm starting to get gray in my temples like Mr. Fantastic or Hal Jordan. It's really fucking weird. As long as I don't lose this, up here. It is starting to thin out a little bit, and that is detrimental. Because this is all I got, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I got. this vintage, this starts going, I don't know what's gonna happen, but yeah. So, and I don't really know where I was going with that, but oh yeah. So yeah, I wanted to make sure that everything was working right, everything was a-okay. Also, too, my brother and I just built a new computer for myself, so I wanted to make sure that everything was running smoothly, especially with the YouTubes. And yeah, I mean, everything seems like it's running more smoothly now and all that jazz. And yeah, I have some updates for everyone before I get into the main topic. But yeah, like I said before, I do have some questions that consider Batman, and should he have the Bat family? Should he be a loner? Things like that. So, but yeah, like I said, I wanted you people to see what greatness looks like in, or at least over the YouTubes. I was going to say in the flesh, but that'd be wrong. Yeah, over the interwebs. So please, come on this fantastic voyage with me. Let us delve into a couple of things that I want to right now. But yeah, but before we delve into it, I do want to say that yeah, being a handsome cobra, as I am, being Gregory Cobrana, is hard. I've been dieting, I've been doing all this stuff, and man, the other past couple of days, like, I don't know if it's like vertigo or what, but it was just crazy. Like, there's a couple of times where I was just in just everyday hoopity boopity, and next thing you know, it felt like my world tilted. Like, some people would say, vertigo, where it's just like everything woo, and I was just in, like, it was crazy. Usually vertigo, you get it from like rising up too fast, but I mean, it was just like me walking or me sitting, and the world just kind of tilts like this and that. It was really weird. And so yeah, I had to take a little time for myself, and so that's why the videos haven't been that's why it's been a while since I've done my thoughts video. That's why Chris and I, we did gentleman cocktails last week, but kind of got off schedule a little bit. But don't worry, we're coming back strong again. 'Tis the season, because we have the cons coming up. Got Rob Con coming up for you. We're gonna be there. All-Star Con. I know Chris is going there. He's still trying to bamboozle me into going. I may go. I don't know. Who knows, right? Who knows? But yeah, so yeah. But anyway, let us delve into this fantastic voyage that we call My Thoughts. All right. Here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Let me put on the headphones. Okay, I can hear myself. There we go. Okay, so real quick, what's been going on with me? So other than the quasi-vertigo episodes that I've had, well, I've been playing, let's see, I've been playing a lot of Division 2 since I've gotten that game for free when I upgraded my graphics card a while back. I want to say a couple of weeks ago or a few weeks ago. And then my brother and I upgraded my motherboard, upgraded my RAM, upgraded my processor, power supply. So basically what I did is that now I have 2 computers. I have one as a streaming, so when Chris and I do the Gentleman of Cocktails, and I believe we're going to be at Mountain Empire Comics in Johnson City, Tennessee, for the Free Comic Book Day event. I believe it is May 4th, and that's a Saturday. So, God willing, I have the time off, I will be there. Chris and I both will, and live streaming and stuff like that from there. And yeah, it's gonna be a as the Flintstones say, a gay old time. So yeah, I'm totally looking forward to it. I hope I can get the time off to do that. But yeah, like I was saying, I've been playing the Division 2. I really love that game. I actually re-downloaded Far Cry 3 again. I played a little bit of that as well. Such a good game. And both are. I remember Far Cry 3. I mean, I think Far Cry 3 is one of my favorite ones. I think Far Cry 2 is probably my favorite, just because of the way it's because it's set on the African continent and stuff like that, and I just love the African continent because I've been out there before, and yeah, I love Africa. It's a I mean, there are things that I guess people can say, and it is, a lot of it's our world, but it's also too a beautiful country as well. So yeah, a lot of beauty in that way of life. It's just a simpler, and well, I shouldn't say simple. I mean, because there are warlords and stuff like that out there on the African continent and stuff like that. But it's just, I don't know. It's just it's different. That's all I can say. I can't it's hard to describe. It's just different. It's just a different way of life than like in America or England or it's just one of those things. But yeah, so and that's why I thoroughly enjoy like Far Cry 2 a lot, because it just, I don't know, it just brings me back, and nostalgia, I guess. So yeah, but the Division 2, I've been playing a lot of that. I think I'm level 19 or 20 now. Yeah, level 20. I just crossed level 20. I think max is like 30. But it's really cool. I mean, I think I'm like halfway through the story so far. I'm just kind of taking my time too. I'm not trying to rush it. I just rescued the President Ellis, and doing some side quests and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's really cool, because you have like settlements. There's like the theater, there's the campus, there's your base of operations, which is actually the White House. There's I haven't been to any of the dark zones yet. I probably will. Yeah, but another game that I've played, and this is kind of like the genesis, I guess, the culmination, the idea, if you will, for this topic. Should Batman be a loner, or should Batman have the Bat family? And the genesis of this came because I've been playing a lot of Injustice 2 mobile. I think I like that better than the actual Injustice 2 game on console. I mean, I love it. I mean, there's more characters. It's easier to play. It doesn't take a lot. I'm actually, I wasn't really big into mobile games, and I'm not. I mean, I think Injustice 2 is like the only mobile game I play. I've never played Candy Crush. I've never played any of the more popular ones. What is it? Marvel Puzzle Quest. I've never played that. But for me, I thoroughly really enjoy Injustice 2 mobile, and I probably will play Diablo Immortal, the mobile game, when it comes out, if it comes out. Now, I will say this: I was one of the persons who was pretty up in arms when I heard that Diablo Immortal was only going to be mobile. I thought because I would love to play it online as well, or at least on my computer, right? If they make a computer version of that, I would love to play it. But I mean, now that I've kind of gotten into mobile games as well, I got to tell you, I'm pretty stoked about that one coming out. Hopefully, it comes out next year, or hopefully this year or next year, whenever it comes out. Diablo Immortal, and yeah, I get a chance to play it, because I really love the character of the Barbarian, or like the Crusader. Yeah, I love those characters. They're really cool. But so yeah, and the thing is, the reason why I've been playing like Injustice 2 mobile a lot is because I really like the character of Batwoman, Catherine Kane, if you will. Who, Catherine Kane, if you don't know, is cousin to Bruce Wayne. His mother's maiden name was Kane. And actually, it's pretty badass, because the whole lineage and story of how Gotham was made, it's really cool. Now, I will say this: I am not a Batman person, and I've said this in past videos before. I don't really care about Batman. I think there's like oversaturation of Batman, even though Batman's DC's most popular character. I don't know. I don't really understand why. I don't understand the appeal, other than him being human. But he's like human in like the non-relatable sense, where it's like he's a billionaire, plus he has all this tech and gadgets that no normal human being can have. I mean, fuck, Daredevil is more relatable to the average person, just because he's super smart, right? And so is Bruce Wayne. But Matt Murdock, on the other hand, he is a person, who struggles to pay his bills. He has that fucking Spider-Man mentality, where he gets paid by fucking his clients with fish or produce, or vegetables. You know, it's like he struggles with paying his bill. Him and Foggy, right? And Karen Page, when she was in the comic books, when she was alive, or you know, if you could do the Daredevil TV series, which I really loved on Netflix. Fuck man, I really wish they would have did season 4, because season 3 was amazing. I loved it, but that's what I'm saying. It's where Batman doesn't struggle, right, as much as Matt lost both his parents, you know, his mother to postmortem, or post. Yeah, was it postmortem? I think it is, like where lady has a baby, and the mother can't, like, she can't recover. She feels some type of guilt, or she can't. Damn it! I used to know it too, but it's a disorder that women tend to get, and so he lost his mother to that, and she also was a nun sister that he never knew about. Lost his father at a young age as well. So I mean, kind of very similar to how Bruce Wayne lost his parents and things of that nature. But it's just one of those things where it's, you know, like a Daredevil's blind, where Batman, uh, and he has like a heightened senses. Daredevil does, but Batman, you know, he can see, but basically it's full on Batman. See, back in the day, it used to be the persona is Batman, and Batman pretends to be Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Wayne is the face, right? And that was like, and back in the day, like back in the 80s, I mean, it used to be the difference between Batman and Superman, where Superman is basically the facade, and Clark Kent is really the person, is Kal-El. Clark Kent is who the persona is, right? That's the personality, and then the facade is Superman, and that's why I loved about it. I should say facade, but it's just one of those things where Kal-El would rather be Clark Kent than Superman, where Bruce Wayne would rather be Batman than Bruce Wayne. But what I've loved about, and this is the thing I want to get into, what I've loved about like the Rebirth in the comics is that they do an amazing job of balancing that, right? Especially James Tywin the Fourth, when it comes to Batman DC Comics, or Batman Detective Comics, or Batman in Detective Comics, I should say. Which, if you don't know, DC actually stands for Detective Comics, but it's kind of redundant to say Detective Comics and then Batman in Detective Comics. So, but yeah, that's what the DC actually stands for, Detective Comics. So, sorry, I'm just trying to give it a think a bit. So yeah, so the reason why I brought up Injustice 2 is because the character of Batwoman, like I said, Catherine Kane, is cousin to Bruce Wayne, and like I said before, Martha Wayne, it was actually Martha Kane before she married Thomas Wayne. And like I was going to venture in before, the Scott Snyder actually wrote this. I believe it is in the book series. I think it was only a 4-parter or maybe a 5-parter, but it's in graphic novel format, The Gates of Gotham. And it actually tells about, so it tells about the beginnings of Gotham City after the American Revolutionary War. and the 5 families who are in charge of building up Gotham City. Those are the Kanes, the Waynes, Cobblepots, Crowns, and Elliots. Now, 4 out of the 5 you would probably recognize if you know Batman lore. You know, Kane's, like I said, he actually has, I believe, Bruce Wayne has 2 uncles, and 2 uncles, which are Jacob Kane, which is actually Catherine Kane's father, and then I believe Philip Kane, which is kind of like I want to say the black sheep of the family, but I believe he is the youngest sibling of Martha, Jacob, and Philip. And he was actually in Zero Year, one that Scott Snyder wrote for the New 52 series. And this is where we see like Red Hood and New 52 and stuff like that. So, but yeah, and I think he dies, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I've read Zero Year, so please don't quote me on that. But he's the one who hires the Riddler and stuff, and he's the one, I believe he wants to push Bruce to give him more power in the dealings with Wayne Enterprises. This is Philip Kane I'm talking about, and stuff like that. So, but yeah. But yeah, so, and then you have the Cobblepots, because Oswald Cobblepot is the Penguin. You have the Elliots, which Thomas Elliot, Hush. And then you have the Crowns. Now, the Crowns, I believe the Crowns are the ones, if I'm not mistaken, they are the family that kind of started the Court of Owls. If I'm right, or the Court of Owls, Council of Owls, all that jazz. So yeah, they're kind of like the leaders of the Court of Owls, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. But yeah, but it really is fascinating. It's fascinating when you get into that lore. I would say that in the lore of Gotham City. But once again, and I'll give my reasons for why I'm not a big Batman person, and that's just because one it's the oversaturation. Number 2, it has to deal with, Batman does not need my money, right? Batman does just fine without me. I'm not saying that there's not great Batman stories, because I enjoy. Hell, I gave my what was it? My senior, not project, but my senior thesis paper was basically on the Dark Knight Returns and the Millerverse, right? Dark Knight Strikes Again, the Dark Knight Returns: The Last Crusade, Dark Knight 3: The Master Race, Year 1. I even slipped in a little Daredevil, Frank Miller's in there that he did in 1984, because you could see that was like the prelude, if you will, to him doing Batman. So yeah, I mean, it was. So I do have. So for me to say that I don't have an affinity for Batman is totally wrong and totally not correct, because I do. It's just, there is so much oversaturation of the character that it really bothers me and just kind of cringeworthy. It's like, fuck, that's where I get like, man, another fucking Batman story. It's like, why can't we just do like a Black Lightning story? Because and I know that in the recent issues of Detective Comics, him and Black Lightning have actually teamed up, and I'm actually like, that's fucking cool. And that's after James Tywin IV's run on Detective Comics. in the Rebirth series. But yeah, so I've been playing Injustice 2, and one of my favorite characters to play as is Batwoman, Catherine Kane. I'm still trying to get Shazam. I haven't gotten Shazam. My boy, he's still my boy. I still love the dude, but it's just, yeah, it's Shazam is a hard character to get because you got to do like arena battles and stuff, and you have to get hero, and that's the only way to get hero shards. Like the multiverse Batwoman, which is actually from like the Arrowverse, because they did a 3-part crossover. I believe it's called Elseworlds, and it was on Arrow, Flash, and Supergirl. And Ruby Rose, Australian actress, played Kate Kane in it. I always say Catherine because I actually like Catherine, the name Catherine. But yeah, she played she and yeah, I mean it's tough to say whether or not she did a good job because I've only seen a couple of scenes with her in it, and it's just even that I wasn't really buying her as Catwoman or as Catwoman, as Batwoman. Ruby Rose is who I'm talking about, the actor, the Australian actress. Maybe if she spoke in her native accent, Australian, it would be more pure and more. Maybe I would get more on board. But I understand it. It's just, you know, and I don't want to say it's made for TV because that just sounds like I'm being very condescending and being a prude about television, because television is great, and a lot of it is on par with shit that the stuff that's out at the movie theaters even. So pretentious. That's the word I was looking for. I don't want to sound pretentious, but it's just I just wasn't really buying her as Batwoman. So that's what I said. Like I said again, I've only seen a couple of clips. So, and those clips were from YouTube. So I haven't actually seen the whole 3-part. I know that she makes a cameo at the very end of the part 1. So yeah. But yeah, I enjoy playing the character. I really like the character, and I wanted to. I knew the character of the character, and so I wanted to. And the game has actually basically had me more intrigued about getting to know the lore of the character of Batwoman and stuff like that. And I actually find the character quite fascinating, and I find the character more relatable, at least for me. Even though I'm not a woman, at least, well, I've always claimed to be a lesbian trapped inside of a man's body. But that's when I was trying to have that 3-way back in college with those 2 lesbos. But no, I'm just I'm just joking. It's a joke. It's a joke. No, but yeah, no, but I find that character more relatable for me because just the backstory. And if you don't know, like her father, I believe, is a colonel / was a colonel in the U.S. Army, and she was actually enlisted into the U.S. Army as well. She actually got kicked out of the Army because they found out that she was in a same-sex relationship with another soldier. And even though the U.S. military has a "don't ask, don't tell" policy, it's one of those. It's a no-go for being homosexual in the military. So, and so they 86'd her out. Can't remember the separation chapter. Let's say chapter 18. or chapter 15. I can't remember. I used to know a person who actually got chaptered out for separation. Not in that same instance, but in another instance. That and there's different chapters. Like there's a chapter of you can get chaptered out just by failure to acclimate, but that usually happens within the first year to year and a half. After that, you have that window, and but after that window, it's like they can't chapter you out on that. So, but like I said before, I find Batwoman more relatable because because of having that military discipline, that military integrity, that mindset, the strategic skill set, if you will, and being just very regimental and things of that nature. And so learning the lore about her and stuff like that, it was really intriguing. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was great. And yeah, so it's one of those things where it also subverted my expectations too, I guess. Made me question a lot about Batman as well. I shouldn't say expectations, but it subverted my conscious thinking of Batman. That's a better terminology I get to say than expectations. But yeah, it flipped him, and I was like, And the reason why I bring this up because, like I was talking about before, in James Tywin the Fourth's Rebirth DC Comics run, Batman actually forms a team of Gotham, I guess, superheroes, if you will. Excuse me, sorry, that was tasty. You have Baz Carlo, aka Clayface, a reformed Clayface, if you will. You have Batwoman, Catherine Kane, Kate Kane. You have Red Robin, Tim Drake. You have Cassandra Kane, the orphan. And at one time, she was Batgirl. You have Spoiler, Stephanie Brown, who was also a Batgirl at one time as well. Who else? Like I'm missing somebody. I think that's it for now. I could be missing another person. But the thing is that Bruce actually goes to. It's really cool and really the way that it plays out in the first graphic novel, like the first 6 issues. And it's called and the first volume is called Rise of the Batman. And the way it plays out is that Bruce actually goes to Batwoman, Catherine Kane's apartment or home sneaks in. She basically fucking does like some judo backflip stuff and does like a throw or something. He lands on his feet and all that jazz. And, they have like a conversation about like, hey, I want you to help me train a young team of individuals, superheroes, to protect Gotham and stuff like that. And she's like, well, why would I help you and stuff? Or like, why would I help you and why would you trust me? And he basically, and I love this part. I will say this. He takes off the cowl and he says, because we're family. And it's Bruce Wayne. And her response is fucking magical because I love it. Because she's like, well, about time you you've given up the facade, or something like that. It was like about time you own up to being Batman. And he's like, what? And she's like, yeah, I've known this for like a year and a half now. It's like, I'm just happy that you're finally owning up to it, that you're Batman. And he's like, how did you know? And she's like, well, Bruce, because we're family. That's, it's like, come on. It's like, doesn't take a genius. And I love that. I really do, because it doesn't take a genius to know that the richest person in Gotham probably has all this fucking tech and probably parades around at night beating up criminals and shit. I mean, supervillains and stuff. I mean, it's just, it's so cool. And so Baz Carlo, Clayface, he's given up the criminal element, because Batman basically told him, like, listen, look, I can cure you. I just need you to trust me, and I'll work on curing you. And he does. He actually does. There's a device that he gives Baz where it can actually structure the molecules. It's kind of like it looks like a wristband or an iWatch, or yeah, iWatch. And it can reform the molecules into what he wants to look like. So he can look like his old self, or he could look like anyone else. I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's one of those, and it's really, really cool and genuine that Bruce wants to help him, wants to reform him, rehabilitate him, if you will, is a better terminology to use. Rehabilitation, reform him. It's just so it's really good. And James Tywin IV, his writing is really great. And I will say this: I was collecting the books, the individual books. I was collecting Batman, the Tom King run, and then I didn't really pick up on Detective Comics until like a few issues after. And that was because I didn't know how good it was. Now, I will say this: I still like the beginning of Tom King's run. I don't really care about it now. It's, to me, I don't want to say it's trash. I just don't care for it. There are some things that I like of Tom King, like his vision, of course, and what else? I'm trying to think of what he's done. He's done stuff that I like. Mr. Miracle, the beginning was good. I mean, then it just kind of went on sideways, and I was just like, okay. Sheriff of Babylon, that was a good one too. I enjoyed that. But yeah, things that Tom King has done, I do believe he is a good writer. I don't think he's good for Batman though. And it just, yeah, it's like after the whole wedding stuff and just the wedding, all that jazz and the lead up, I just, yeah, it was the bat. So the thing that I kind of got off of, like I was collecting also too, like DC Comics, James Tywin run, but it just, at that time, it was just one of those things where I was just like, you know what, and that's just where I was, because so much Batman stuff was coming out. I was just like, you know what, man, Batman don't need me, and I found myself liking other stuff, like Green Lantern and Aquaman and just other books, right? Shazam hadn't come out at that time, but there was other books that I felt like, okay, I could use my money for these, because Batman's going to be good. Detective Comics, so Batman, Detective Comics, Action Comics, Superman. Those are the four like flagship books of especially like Detective Comics and Action Comics. I mean, I mean, those books, they ain't going anywhere. You know, I mean, Superman and Batman. Well, Batman won't go anywhere, but Superman, yeah, that's another thing. But even Superman, I mean, you know, Superman could suck, but it's still going to print out Superman because it's Superman. He's a template for superheroes. So yeah. But I think after the Victim Syndicate, which I thought was a good run as well. I think that was like the third volume of the Detective Comics Rebirth run. Yeah, I got like the first two of the League of Assassins, and then after that, I was just like, okay, I mean, art's great. Eddie Barrows does a lot of the art in those books, and it's like, oh my god, Eddie Barrows is like really good. I mean, really phenomenal artist. I was like, holy shit, this is great. I mean, there's one scene where, I mean, spoilers for it. There's one scene in the first volume, Rise of the Batman, where fucking Red Robin, Tim Drake, gets fucking mowed down by all these drones, and it just is. I mean, that motherfucker sacrifices himself, and it's like a double splash page, and it is. Eddie Barrows puts like, you could feel he puts his heart and his soul into those fucking panels. It's like, god damn, this is so good, man. If you get a chance, man, I can't remember what the actual single. I have the single issue, but that's actually, I saw that and I was like, fuck it, I have to pick this book up just for that. I mean, I spent, what was it, like $2.99 just on that alone, because it's just because the dialogue was just so captivating, and then seeing that, I was like, fuck me, man. And later you find out that what's his name, Mr. Oz, which is Jor-El, he actually transports him to his station and keeps him captive. But it looks like Tim Drake got fucking mowed down by these drones, and it basically, and so with I'll tell a little bit of the backstory for Volume 1 of DC Comics Rebirth. Basically, Colonel Kane, Jacob Kane, Catherine Kane's father, basically has this covert secret ops team or colony, quote unquote, if you will, of soldiers that he's train like Batman, in the same style as Batman, because basically they have all this footage, all this surveillance on Batman and stuff like that, and they know he's fucking Bruce Wayne. They know who he is. I mean, it's like they know, right? But it's kind of it's one of those things where it's like, hey, if you get discovered, the U.S. government has deniability and plausibility for denial and stuff like that. So basically, if Jacob Kane gets caught, it's like, yeah, hey, we didn't know he went rogue. This is all on him, type dealio. And even Catherine, I believe, didn't even know, if I'm not mistaken, she didn't even know that her father did this, right? But it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a really good run. The art's phenomenal. Eddie Barrows, again, fucking great. And that's why it's called Rise of the Batman, because the Batmen are these trained soldiers, U.S. Army soldiers, you know, more like Spec Ops and stuff like that, who are trained in the style of Batman, trying to be Batmen, you know, if you will. And it's really cool because it has that Arkham Knight, like the Arkham Knight flavor of weaponry and armor, and they have like the metallic cows or helmets that have like the bat ears. I mean, it's really cool. It's really solid. Like I said, if you get a chance to buy the volume 1 Rise of the Batman, I highly recommend it. I mean, it's good investment. I mean, even if you just want to do volume 1 and call it a day, highly recommend it. But just seeing the leadership role of of Catherine Kane Batwoman in that in that volume, in those pages, even the single issues of the comic book, I was really invested into the character, right? I got more invested, and I loved it. That because you have to understand is that when I was growing up, Batman had always been a loner, right? Even when he was with the Justice League, he was always he was the man in the shadows, right? He's not a shadow dancer like me, you know. Just a little FYI, that was one of my many nicknames growing up, Shadow Dancer, because I was dance in the shadows. Believe it or not, Shadow Dancer, mighty mighty Prancer. But yes, I remember those glorious days. But yeah, so and that's the thing about it, and especially like you have the Batman of if you can't how can anyone forget this? The JLA run Tower of Babel, where it was, I have to say, I mean, it was a good story. Hated the fucking art. I mean, the fucking art was just, God, man, that was pretty atrocious. Yeah, it was god awful, man. I'm sorry, it just is. I don't know if it was Ed McGuinness who did it, but God, man, I wish they got somebody else on it because it was just, God, shit just sucked. I'm sorry. I mean, it just really did not. I mean, it was just that 90s art, and it just didn't. It didn't look. It looked funky as fuck. Pardon my French. But the story was great. I think it was Grant Morrison who did that. I could be wrong. But yeah, Tower of Babel, and this is the one where Ra's al Ghul basically breaks into Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, his Bat cave, his Bat files, and basically uses Batman's contingency plans against all this, because he has a contingency plan for every superhero of the JLA or Justice League, right? He has one for Superman, he has one for Wonder Woman, he has one for the Flash, he has one for Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern, because Kyle Rayner was Green Lantern at the time. He has one for fucking everybody, right? And the thing is that Batman, you know, he's like, no, what's going on? Because he recognizes this shit, but he's like, no, there's no way someone could who would have the resources to do this shit. And then you find out it's Ra's al Ghul who hacked into the detectives cyber system, and it's really it's a phenomenal story. It really is good. It's how he takes down Clark, how he takes down Wonder Woman, Kyle, makes him fucking comatose. Was it Wally West, I believe, was the Flash at that time, if I'm not mistaken, because Barry Allen, I don't believe, was alive. I could be wrong, or he was trapped in the Speed Force, you know. And but he made the Flash have seizures every time he tried to move. I mean, it's really, really fucking. I mean, it's one of those things, man. It's a good. Oh, Martian Manhunter too. He was on the Justice League as well, and there was like these nanites these nanites or nanotech that would go, that were like microscopic and basically would combust on him, on touching his skin. So he would always, because you know Martian, he's afraid of fire and stuff like that. So basically he would have PTSD from just, and it's because of the nanites being his skin plus oxygen in the air. I mean, it's really fucking, I mean, it's really good. So the whole reason why I bring up the Tower of Babel is because you have this Batman who don't trust nobody, right? This motherfucker does not trust people. And that's one of the things where I draw a hard line with Batman, where it's like back in the day, Batman, where there's a no trusting policy, right? Where I'm just like, dude, you gotta have some trust. You gotta have some trust, okay? No matter what, even if you don't even if you live by the acronym DTA, don't trust anybody. I'm not saying I do. I'm not saying I live by that. You know, there are parts maybe I live by of that, but still I trust. I do trust. And I am like the fucking champion of hope when it comes to trusting, because I am a champion of hope that at the end of the day I can trust people, because I want to trust people, because I have to trust people, because I need to know that there's good in people's hearts. As much fucked upness, as much bags of shit that the world can bring at you, I have to believe that there is still, I have to be that champion of hope, that there's still good in our society. And I have to trust. I just have to. As much as I can be a fucking hypocrite and say DTA, don't trust anybody, or live by sometimes on that spectrum, I have to be the champion of hope that I can trust people. And that's where I draw a hard line in the fucking sand with Batman back in the day, where I was just like, how can he be on the fucking Justice League and not trust anybody? Just why have this guy? You know. Oh, in case fucking Superman does a fucking 180 and just wants to fucking become supreme dictator of the fucking of Earth, like in Injustice 2. Yeah, I get that, but still, it's just doesn't make a whole lot of fucking sense. That's why I loved, because Tom King's Batman is kind of that way Batman, but is a little more trusting as well. I mean, that's where it kind of teeter-totters. James Tywin, though, his Batman is very trusting. And that's what I like, is that basically he and it's not a facade. It's actually him trying. And that's why I think it's a great thing that Batman should not be a loner, that he needs to have the Bat family with him, because it makes him grounded. It makes him more human, right? I, for a long time, used to believe this, and this is when I was in my younger years, like probably my teens and 20s, that Batman should be a fucking loner. He should be a fucking Wolverine and stuff like that. Always tortured by his parents' death and stuff like that. He's a loner by choice because he has to fight against the night. He has to fight against the criminals. He makes the ultimate sacrifice. And it's like, you know what? Why can't he fight crime with a family, right? Why can't he fight crime even if it's not fully biological, right? You know, because Tim Drake is not his son, but in the DC universe before New 52, he adopted Tim Drake, not just as his ward, but as his adopted son. And then we got fucking Damian, which is kind of weird. Oh yeah, Damian too, but Damian's not on the team of in the Detective Comics run. But yeah, I mean, but he is Robin. Damian Wayne is Robin in the DC Rebirth. I think he's on. Yeah, he's on the Teen Titans. I'm sorry. Yeah, because he's the leader of the Teen Titans. That. Yeah. Forgive me. Yeah, because he turns 13. That's right. But yeah, it's and then like having Nightwing and Batgirl, and yeah, it's really captivating, and I do like that. And having Batwoman basically be his equal, because it's just like, because she tells him straight up, hey, listen, look, Bruce, if we're doing this, I'm your equal. I'm not under you, right? It's like, I'll train him, but I am your equal. And I love that. I love that about Catherine Kane, because Batwoman, because she fucking demands respect from him, right? And that's and a lot of that is that military mindset, is that military prowess of just like, listen, look, I've been through a lot of shit, probably more shit than you. Yeah, buddy, you lost your parents, motherfucker. All right, but you know, I've actually, you know, served this country. I've actually, you know, shed blood, you know, for fucking total strangers. You know, and I ain't afraid to kill a motherfucker. I have no no problem with like, no gun policy bullshit. I actually, used fucking assault rifles and fucking, sidearms and shit. I don't have no fucking no gun policy bullshit. And I'm not saying it's bullshit. It's bullshit. As far as I'm concerned, Batman can have that. It's just bullshit to me because I'm just like, because I'm that way too. It's like, fuck, man. I've used, sidearms and rifles and 203s and fucking 50 cals and, all that shit, man. The M21s, sniper rifle and shit. It's like, yeah, man. So that's why for me, it it's more appealing. Batwoman as a character is, and I am not, no disrespect to anybody who likes Batman and stuff. If you love the no gun policy, if you're not too hip on the Zack Snyder Batman where he's like killing motherfuckers left and right, hey, I'm totally happy for you. I'm totally happy for you that's your Batman. That's cool. That's cool. That's really cool. And I'm totally glad that you like that Batman. But when you have a motherfucker like Darkseid come in, you can't be living in this fantasy candy land. You got to up them stakes because Darkseid don't give a shit. Steppenwolf don't give a shit. New Gods don't give a shit. If a fucking if a certain type of round fired from a fucking gun is going to 86 or disable or eliminate fucking Darkseid, and Batman needs to shoot it, then so fucking be it, because Batman is gonna be dead by the Omega Beam Blast, the fucking anti-life equation. I mean, it's just that's the thing, man. It's that shit. I mean, that's for real. It's just you have to up them stakes is high, man. You got to up that shit because it's at that moment it's an us or them situation. So Batman has to do that. Save the world or stick to your principles. It's a moral versus utilitarian a struggle at that point. And that's why that's like I said before, that's what I like about Catherine Kane, Batwoman, because she can make those hard decisions, right? She fucking reactionary. She can do it because that's what soldiers do. They're very reactionary, because it's the whole fighter. If you've ever been in combat, if you've ever been in high stressful situations or training ops or anything like that, that is just very, it's like, it's that fight or flight. And the reason, and the thing is that real world scenarios, training simulators, whatever, a lot of people, they're not trained for the fight. So they go flight. They go advance in the opposite direction. A lot of people do, or they cringe up in a ball, and it's not a bad thing. Okay, I'm not degrading or talking down to anyone who does that. Let me tell you something, man. I've done that before. I've done that shit before too. Right? You panic. There's been times where you fucking deer caught in headlights because you don't know, right? And I've done that before, man. Thank God it was in a training, exercise, and motherfuckers are like, what the fuck you doing? It's like, and they're like, yeah, see, man, this is why we want to do this shit over again. But it's repetition. It's those things that fucking you gotta get it, and it's practice. You gotta know it and know it. And then when you get in a real world scenario, excuse me, then boom, the training kicks in. You got that fight, right? You don't do any flight. You don't do any fucking deer con headlights, or you don't, or doing, I don't know what to do. You're not panicking. You are reactionary. covering your tended to, making sure you got line of sight on your Joes, making sure that fucking calling out the 3Ds, fucking making sure everyone's good and readied up and shit and ready to assault the objective if we can advance forward, because that's what fucking infantrymen do. We always advance forward. You always go forward. You never retreat. But that's what I'm saying. That's why I like the character so much. That's why I have a real affinity for that character of Batwoman, because just reading and seeing the character and seeing the visuals of her, that I can see that, and it's just like, yeah, this character's fucking badass, because this is shit that it's relatable to me, right, on a personal level, and that's where I like Batwoman a lot better than Batman. So, but I'm happy that Batman has her, right, as an equal in his corner, just like Batman is in her corner, right? If they ever were to be in a fight. And then I think James Tywin IV did 7 volumes. I think it's on the 9th volume of the. Now it's no longer Rebirth. Now it's just DC Universe. But yeah, James Tywin IV wrapped up, and I believe the last volume was volume 7, and it's called Batmen Eternal. That's right. I said Batmen Eternal, plural. And because there's a comic series called Batman Eternal, and then Batman and Robin Eternal, but this is Batmen Eternal. I did do a double take on that one too, but it actually wraps up really good. I like it because it because what James Tywin IV does, because like I said, you have the Victim Syndicate, you have the League of Assassins volume story arcs, and then you have, I believe, a couple others before the Batman Eternal. But I like how, but the Rise of the Batman and the Batman Eternal, it bookends, right? Like volume 1 and volume 7 bookends everything else, and James Tywin IV actually puts everything back into the toy box, puts all the toys back in the toy chest or toy box, very nice and neat, and he wraps up certain things, leaves some things open, but leaves them open to where another the next writer, if the next writer or writers that want to use these characters, if they so choose, that they can, and they're not having to. There is an end, but they can also it is an end of this chapter with these characters, but it can also pick up very fluently and very liquid like, so to where it's not very abrupt and abrasive, and not just anyone can pick it up. Like, you don't have to read something else. I mean, it would be great to get to read volume 1 and volume 7, the bookends, before you read the next volume with said character of Batwoman, or said character of Tim Drake Red Robin, or said character of Cassandra Cain, Orphan, right? It's but he does such a really great job of just tying it up, putting a bow on it, and just making everything continuity wise and just very like I said, fluid and coherent. That's the word I was looking for. So you're not really questioning things. And if you do, you can just go back, you can just look and like, oh, okay, that's how that ties up. Okay, I just, didn't retain that information from the previous volumes, right? So yeah, and that's because I will say this, like Scott Snyder's Batman. I mean, looking back on it, it's good. I believe it was good at the time. And it's kind of funny because James Tywin IV is actually a protege of Scott Snyder, is one of his students, which is kind of funny. And I love, I mean, I will say this, I love Scott Snyder's Batman Endgame. I love that story. It's a great, I mean, Scott Snyder even said it too, that he wrote that as an end for both Batman, Bruce Wayne, and Joker. I actually love Scott Snyder's Super Heavy. A lot of it's very controversial. That's when Jim Gordon took on the role as Batman, and he also was he had the mech suit Batman that was the bat ears or the rabbit ears. But he also got in shape because uh, Jim Gordon is a former Marine, so he got into shape. He basically had the Four Fingers in Normandy fucking haircut, clean shaven, big, physically fit, not like big, brawny like Bruce, more slender, right? Like Dick Grayson, but more lean and mean. So, and yeah, and the way that Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo drew him and stuff, or Scott Snyder wrote it and Greg Capullo drawed it, or yeah, or drew it. Excuse me, drawed it, drew it was phenomenal. I really like Super Heavy. That's where you had the villain. Oh, what the hell was his name? The Stretch Armstrong villain. I can't remember. Mr. Seed or some shit. Or Sunflower Guy. Oh, fuck. I mean, they never reveal who it is, but it's a person from Zero Year. That's where we first learn about the character. But it is really good. I do enjoy that. And that was from New 52 as well. Oh, what else? Death of a Family. It was okay. It was all right. That's got Snyder run. I know a lot of people love the Court of Owls and Night of Owls. I thought the Court of Owls was really good too. But I really love Endgame. I do. I think Endgame is my favorite of his. Zero Year, I know it's hit and miss. There are aspects of Zero Year that I really enjoyed. And I think the reason why I enjoyed them is because a certain character from Zero Year actually shows up again in Endgame. And so I love that. And I can't remember, I think the lady's name is Julia or Juliet. Yeah, Julia or Juliet. I can't remember. But it's a former girlfriend of Bruce's. And in Endgame, or no, I'm sorry, Super Heavy. Yeah, Super Heavy comes after Endgame, and I love it how Bruce is just kind of like he has no memory of being Batman and stuff like that, or if he does, he's like, listen, look, I don't care to be Batman anymore. I just want to be with my lady and be with her and work at the because he does volunteer work and stuff at a rec center, fixing air conditioners and stuff like that, and it's really cool. It's really Yeah, that's really amazing. And that's what I'm saying. It's one of those things where Scott Snyder is a phenomenal writer. I just I I don't and that's just a personal thing. I mean, I don't think Court of Owls. A lot of people would. It's not my favorite. I've read the story. I own Court of Owls. It's a phenomenal book. I will say that. It just doesn't hit me in the feels, I guess, as an end game or as a super heavy, right? So, or like I said, even aspects of Zero Year do as well. So, but yeah, not taking anything away against Scott Snyder. Like I said, he's a phenomenal writer, doing good things on the Justice League right now for the DC universe. So. But yeah, I do. But that's the thing too. But I don't. The death of a family was more, and that's the thing too, is that basically the Joker separated, once again, made that created that void in the Batman family where Nightwing didn't want anything to do with Bruce. Batgirl, everybody was questioning Bruce. And once again, it's just one of those things where I don't really care for stories like that too much, because I feel like you're taking 2 steps backwards in that respect and getting 1 step forward. You know they'll come back, right? Because it's comic books. You know that they'll come back. But at what price and at how much time will pass after that? You know. That's my problem. I'm not saying that everything should be hunky fucking dory. No. And that's the thing too, is that basically in Endgame, there's one scene where Dick wears the bat suit and pretends to be Batman. And I thought that was very fitting, shades of Nightfall and stuff like that. I thought that was great. I thought that was cool. No, yeah, it's and that's how you know that they basically reconciled and stuff, because Batman had basically had to call back the Bat family, to basically stop the Joker and stuff in Endgame. Which, like I said, I mean, I really enjoyed that. I really did. I have the single issues of that because I knew it was gonna be a good fucking book. I knew it. I just knew it. And so yeah. But like I said before, Batwoman, I love that character. The bad thing is that she when as the what was it, Detective Comics was going on. I want to say after the first volume she had of Detective Comics, Rise of the Batman, she had her own solo series. And I do believe I have like the first 7 of those, if I'm not mistaken. First 7 or 8 of those. There's 18 total, so there's like 3 volumes. I actually have the first volume. I think it's the Many Arms of Death is the first one. I have the third one. I don't have the second one. And it's like the third one is The Fall of the House of Cain. And then the second volume is, I believe, Wonderlands or Wonderland. But yeah, I don't know how I missed number 2, but the second volume. But yeah, because the second volume has to deal with the Scarecrow and stuff like that, and the bad thing about the second volume is that they actually switched up artists, because Steve Epting was actually doing the artistry. And if you don't know who Steve Epting is, Steve Epting did my favorite Captain America, Bucky Cap. Hip and Butch Geis or Grice. And Steve Epting, he also, well, he did the Winter Soldier run, for Captain America. Man of Time is where he started, and I actually met Steve Epting in person at MegaCon in Orlando, Florida. A buddy of mine, got tickets to go to MegaCon, and I believe I was on leave, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, and then we had, what was it, all 3 days, because it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I want to say it was the last day, and I actually got to meet Steve Epting and shake his hand and be like, "Hey, man, I really love your art, really love your Captain America run. Bucky Cap is my favorite Captain America, hands down. And I just want to say, man, it's like you're a master at your crafts, at your craft." And I really did say shit like that. It's like, maybe not exact, but I mean, I said something like that because it was just because it's like I've said before, I'm not a fan of anything but myself, but I really, really, really enjoyed and loved his art on that book. It was just so fucking amazing. And he was like, "Hey, man, thank you so much, man. Hey, I think he gave me his card. He said, hey, if there's any commissions that you would like done, hey, man, here's my email. Here's my phone number too. But just don't call it, because I think he did have his phone number on there. And yeah, so it's like, I don't have the card anymore. I lost it. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I did. And somehow, some way, it flew the coop. I don't know, but it was just so amazing that, I mean, and it didn't cost me anything for a handshake either, which was great. And I got to, and I really, yeah, and I had to have like a really good conversation, because he asked me, he's like, "Hey, man, you have anything you want me to sign or something?" I'm like, "Oh, no, this is great. Just the experience itself, sir. This is awesome." It's like, fuck no, because I'm just like, fuck that. I don't even, no. I love just having conversations. And that's the thing about me. I love having conversations with people. I can get lost in conversations with people. But yeah, and so Steve Epting, he did the first, I believe, 6 issues, if I'm not mistaken, maybe the first 5 of Batwoman Rebirth, because he did the Rebirth issue. I know he did the number 1 and number 2. He may have did 3, 4, and 5, and 6 as well. He may have did the first volume, all of it, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's really good. His art, oh my god, it's just so phenomenal. Now now Wonderland / Wonderlands and the Fall of the House of Cain, he didn't do those, and that's, and a lot of times, and here's like a simple factor of that, of how you can tell like a book is kind of fallen off the charts, or kind of just taking a fucking nosedive, is that when you see artists change up in the art, and I'm not talking about like artists change up as in you have Steve Epting and then you have like Butch Grice step in, right? Because their art styles are kind of similar. I would say that Steve Epting's is a little bit is a bit more clean and not as sketchy. And what I mean by sketchy is in like Butch Grice's, it's kind of more like a sketchbook esque. It's not, like I said before, it's not as clean. So, but they're very similar. And the thing was is that on the Captain America run, like I said before, I think I said this, that Butch Grice was the backup artist. So like if Steve Epting couldn't do a book in the Captain America run, the Bucky Cap run, Butch Grice would be the backup artist. And but their art styles are so similar. It takes a really sharp eye, a keen eye, and a keen sense to actually see that, oh yeah, here's where the differences are, yeah, and in technique and style. because they're very similar. I mean, it's just at first glance, like, yeah, they pretty much look the same. But you got to get, like they say, the devil is in the details. So you got to get very technical with it. But yeah, and so yeah, Batwoman already ran 18 issues to 3 volumes, and yeah, and that's and it's a shame. It's a shame because like I said, I mean, I really like the character, and I like the character better than Batman. I mean, and I'll go on record as saying that because, like I said before, I mean, it's a character that I feel like I can relate to more. I mean, she's human, just like Bruce Wayne is. Catherine Kane is not a metahuman. She doesn't have fucking superpowers. Yeah, I mean, they're family, they're cousins, and that's what's cool, and that's why I love about that dynamic too, that they're blood relatives. It's really cool. So yeah, I mean, I will say once again, I mean, I do believe that Batman should have the Bat family, should not be a loner. At least that's my opinion. That's how I look. I think that you can tell compelling stories. It's the whole thing about how people bitch, piss, and moan about, oh well, we got to keep Superman uh, unmarried without a kid because there's only so many stories that we can tell about him being married with children. It's like, motherfucker. It's like if you're a top tier writer, if you're a fucking phenomenal, if you're like, I'll say this. If you're a Quentin Tarantino, if you're a Martin Scorsese, if you're a person who just makes greatness, motherfucker, there's a plethora. You can pull this shit out of your ass. And maybe not shit gold every time, but sure as hell, maybe fucking, some silver. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a little bronze, silver. But still fucking good. Not gold, but you can still get the silver or the bronze. It's not utter shit. Right? And that's the thing. And now we have Superman married. We have him with a child. Jonathan Samuel Kent, still married to Lois. I mean, that's like the whole thing of Superman, Spider-Man, not being married and not having a kid. I mean, it's like, and that's where I just take a little fucking umbrage with Joe Quesada on that one, because it's like, because he was the one who kind of fucking, I think, started that garbage of, and other people too, where it's just kind of, and other editors and stuff of like, oh, there's only so many Spider-Man stories we can tell of him being married. It's like, dude, it's like, fuck, man, come on, bro. It's like, you're married. It's like, you have. I mean, it's like, listen, look, if Brian fucking Michael Bendis can do it, or if like, and the thing about like Peter J. Tomasi, I believe he's married and he has children. It's like, yeah, he's like, fuck yeah, man. I was like, I wanted to write fucking Superman because, man, I was like, I take from my own life and just do shit that one issue you have them at a fucking county fair, man, and just spending time, Clark and Lois spending time with Jonathan, at a county fair. I mean, Brian Michael Bendis has just kind of screwed the pooch on. I mean, you would think that Brian Michael Bendis would not screw the pooch on Superman, but he has, of the late comics, because now Jonathan is a fucking teenager, or he's he's like 17, 18, so he's technically almost an adult legally. I mean, it's just one of those things. And he goes on adventures with Mr. Oz, Jor-El, and Lois Lane. And people speculate is because they speculate that Brian Michael Bendis did not want to write about fucking family book. He didn't want to write a Superman that has a family. As far as I know, the book is fucking tanking. I could be wrong about that, but as far as I know, some of the best stuff was when that motherfucker wasn't on. What was actually the Rebirth stuff. Because Dan Jurgens, man. Dan Jurgens was on Action Comics. I believe Peter J. Tomasi was on Superman. Non-adjective Superman. So yeah, I mean, and Dan Jurgens is a phenomenal writer. If you don't know who the fuck Dan Jurgens is, he's the one who wrote The Death of Superman. He's the one who fucking did The Reign. And the guy was like 22, 23 when he did the fucking Death of Superman. Like that whole fucking shit with Doomsday and all that shit. I mean, it was. And then he comes back and booyah, man, fucking Action Comics. Dan Jurgens makes a fucking, impact on that book. Then Peter J. Tomasi makes an impact on Superman Rebirth. And it's just, I found myself, I'm not going to lie, I found myself picking up a few of those Superman books, especially that County Fair one. I got the variant cover because Kenneth Rocafort did it. And I love Kenneth Rocafort's art. But that was a one and done. That was a great, I believe it's issue number 7 of Superman Rebirth. Great fucking, it's just a great story. Just a great story. But I do believe when you have characters even like Batman, when you have them grounded, right? When you have them giving a shit, when you have them having something to live for and care for, I think it makes them a better person. I will say this. I have a dog. His name's Watson. He'll be turning 5 in, I believe, August 2nd. And it was crazy. It was kind of weird because I had a dream that and Watson, he's my kid. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever have human kids, but Watson's the closest thing I'm going to have to a kid so far. So, but I had this crazy dream, and I think I passed out. It was kind of funny and cute at the same time because I passed out on the couch, and usually he'll snuggle up, and like I believe he was curled up in my left arm like a football. He just kind of curls up and just in my arm like a football and just lays on next to my side, and I'm just passed out on the couch because I was watching my big screen TV and the TV was still running, but I had this crazy dream that I took Watson to like a field or a doggy park or something, and next thing, and I let him off his. No. I think we were like in yeah, we were at like some field and there were like some woods, further back, and I let him off his leash because usually I keep him on the leash and stuff, and then next thing you know, like he just runs off into the forest, right, into the field and then into the forest, and and then after a while I'm like, okay, Watson, Watson, come back, come on, buddy, I'm like clapping and stuff, like, hey, Watson, Watsy, what's going on? And then I'm like, Watson, hey, buddy, Watson, and I'm just like screaming out, Watson, what's up, buddy? Where are you, pal? And I'm just like, and I'm like, damn, man. I mean, I was literally afraid. Like, I had this fear, right, inside of me that I lost Watson. And perks up like, what's going on? Someone here? So why did someone just disturb my slumber? Type thing. And he's curled up still in my arm, and I'm just like, oh, it's okay, buddy. I thought I lost you, man, but you're right here. It's cool. And Daddy thought he lost you, man. And the thing is that I've the reason why I bring this up is because I've been a person, I've come to terms with my mortality You know, I did that a long time ago in the military because if I died in the service of for the great country of the U.S. of A., then it's a worthy death, right? If I died in battle, then it's a worthy death. And I came to terms with my mortality on my combat deployments and stuff like that. So many times ago. So, and you know, I know that we all have, you know, a finite amount of time on this earth, and I've always been a person who I've always wanted to be the type of person who wanted to know when they died rather than not knowing. You know, not because I'd be go buku nuts crazy and just like, you know, fucking, you know, coke it up. And I'm not talking about Coca-Cola either, you know, and just, you know, fucking, you know, doing blow off his strip his titties and asses and like, you know, and just, you know, having girls like downhill ski slope off me and shit. You know, you know, you know, not doing. It's just that I've always been a person who wanted to know that, so I could. I guess it's because I've always been a person who likes to micromanage and just do things accordingly. You know, and it's like, okay, so I have 30 more years, or I have 10 more years. I can do this, 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 and this. I can save up for this. I have 2 good years, and go over here, and then this time, day, and event is when I shall pass. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is, you know, or at this time and day, you know, um, you know, my soul will leave my body, and hopefully I can, you know, pass away in my sleep, as they say, you know. And so the reason why I bring this up, and I'm not trying to be, you know, Donald Downer or anything, Donnie Downer, is that so when I was talking earlier, I think I mentioned this about the tilting, my world tilting, right? You know, I had 2 episodes of that, and in my family, there's what is it? Hereditary. I believe it's brain cancer. I want to say my grandmother on my father's side died of it. They have a tumor that became brain cancer because it was a tumor that was in her spine, and they thought that they cut it out when she was in Europe, because that's my father and his family they're from Europe, and they thought they got it all out, but they didn't. And actually, my grandmother actually died of brain cancer because a tumor grew back from her spine all the way to her brain. And so when I was moving too, and this is what's fucked up. The first time it happened, I was moving, so and like I said before, it felt like everything was tilting, and so it just, I was like, holy shit. And it just, and you know, maybe I'm being a fucking hypochondriac, or you know, maybe I'm making it make it bigger than what it is, but just go on me with this voyage, if you will. So it happened once. I was like, okay, no, you know, maybe it's just something I ate maybe, and then I got home, and then it happened again when I was just standing. I mean, I got home a couple hours later, it happened again, and I'm just standing, and it's just like, holy shit, you know. And then so another episode happens, and so here I am thinking that, well, fuck. You know, I'm not saying I got brain cancer because I don't know what the criteria is, and I you know, but and also, I mean, back in the day, I have prayed for death before, to be cancer. If I were to die, to be cancer, I prayed for it in very times of lowness. times of despair and desperation, in times of feeling like I can't endure anymore, that like I'm not going to take my own life because if people haven't heard of this before, I'm Catholic, so I don't believe in suicide. It's the only sin. My brother Mark put it to me the best way. He's like, it's the only sin. I never thought about it like this either. Just to let you know, but it is the only sin that you cannot come back from or repent from. Right? There's no repent from suicide. You can't. It's a one time deal, and I put a lot of stock into that, and that's why. I mean, I know that Romans, they believe that, oh, it's better to die by your own sword than by an enemy's, and all that shit. I mean, it was just one way for them just to fucking come to terms with their own suicidal tendencies, right? Or suicidal action. I'm talking about like ancient Rome and shit, Roman soldiers, or politicians and all that shit. But yeah, it just started. It started to. I was like, well, shit. The reason why I bring it up is because actually, for the first time in a long time, I felt fear of dying. Like I said before, when I was in the military, I came to terms with it. Right? I would always tell people, and at first they never really understood what the terminology I meant by, but I would always say, hey, listen, look, every time I go over, I have a fucking toe tag on me. They're like, toe tag, yeah. It's like it's like I'm a disposable hero, It's like I'm probably gonna die over there, The MOS that I have, the job that I do, the stressful situations that I'm in, so it's pretty much a guarantee, that that my probability of living are very low and probability of death very high. I mean, it didn't seem to work out in the probability of death that I guess someone could say that I cheated death. I mean, if you want to be that optimistic or have that hubris, I don't. But yeah, it's just one of those things where both times I had that fear of death, and the reason why I bring it up is because because having a fear of death means that you have a purpose and a reason to live. And the fear of death was really not for me per se, as much as more of, fuck, what would happen to Watson? What would happen to my family members? What would happen to my mom? My biological mother? What would happen to, uh, my second ma? Lako, Mama Son Lako. My pops, my brothers. How would they take it? And I'm the baby of the family, and that's the other thing too. So, I'm the youngest. How would everybody whose life I have affected, by just maybe just giving them a handshake or a fist bump or a smile at the gym, or at the grocery store. I'm like, hey, Katie, good to see you. Sybil, what's up? Hey, how's the boy Reese? It's like, just things like that. Yeah, it got me started. Started to make me think. And yeah. So and what I'm saying is that it's good. At the end of the day, I believe this, and I believe that it's good. It's good to fear your mortality, because it makes you want to live. And I guess like when I was overseas and stuff, and then even when I first came back, I really wasn't living. I was here, but I wasn't. But I wasn't living. Maybe living in a moment, of course, but not like living, not living for the future, not living to build, right? More living to tear away or tear down, like myself or other things. But yeah, it's yeah, it was some scary shit, scary thoughts that I had. So yeah, I mean, I want to live. So I mean, that at the end of the day, the I guess the takeaway of that is like, hey, handsome Cobra, Gregory Brandon wants to live. So, and that's always good. It's always good to live and live not for yourself but for others as well. And so yeah, and the way and that's how and the way that it relates to Batman being a loner, or should Batman be a loner, or have a Bat family, is that basically I think that if you're mortal, like Bruce Wayne, Catherine Kane, even though they're fictional characters, of course, you know, and myself, I'm not a fictional character, but I'm mortal as well, as far as I know. I mean, you know, as far as I know, I'm not like some demigod or the god Adonis in hiding. I mean, that would be funny if I was, but no, I'm not. I'm just a mortal, gentle soul. So, but yeah, having that foundation, that structure, that those social structures put into place, right? Those boundaries, family boundaries, is what I'm talking about. It gives insight, wisdom, and for many or most, a reason to live. Like I said before, to trust, to be okay with fucking up, because everyone fucks up. Everybody does. Everyone makes mistakes. Everybody fucks up. It's harder to come back from fuck ups than it is mistakes. Mistakes, you live, you learn. Fuck ups, on the other hand, that's really hard to come back from. Those are ones where you gotta. That's a case by case situation. So, but yeah, but yeah, and I have to tell you, I mean, this is stuff that I take things. Some things at face value. Some things I like to dig deeper into. I like to analyze. I like to speculate. I like to come up with my own hypotheses and my own educated guesses, ideas, and things of if I'm having like a moral quandary, or I'm having a crisis of consciousness, I like to get into these things. I like to get heady, if you will. That's what they call it, because because things like you can just see a book like Civil War, Steve McNiven, uh, Mark Miller book, as just a fucking comic book. It's just superheroes punching each other and divided, or you could see it as a social commentary on what was going on at the time. The U.S. was in social unrest. The Patriot Act was big and in full force, and me even being a military, having military prowess, and being a military person, I even I don't stand for the Patriot Act. I do not. I think it's It's damning to U.S. citizens and their rights, and is a violation of the American Constitution in every way, shape, and form. But that's my belief, right? Because the Constitution is very vague and very is left to interpretation, because a system of government should not have power over its people. Not total power, anyway. Because when you start chipping at those, once you start giving up uh, freedom for a security of life, for security of life, you just keep on pushing the goalposts further and further and further and further of freedom. Until it becomes free doom. Not freedom, but free doom. And so I analyze books like this, and it helps. It helps when I have that psychological or moral quandaries, crisis of consciousness, if you will. And it helps for me to try to live a better life, I guess. It's like what I've said before in the past. Like I always admire the character, the Dungeons and Dragons character of the Paladin, right? It's something I've always strived to be. I'm more of a barbarian myself. I'm just that lout, lewd, crude motherfucker that just, yeah, beer, fucking women, tits, vag, yeah, right on. It's like, my man, that's who I am. I mean, titties, show me your tits, my dear. It's like, that's, yeah. But I've always, wench, bring me another round of your finest ale, shit like that. That's kind of like who I am. I mean, but I've always admired the character of the Paladin, because that is like so not me. But it's something I've strived and tried to put boundaries, especially social boundaries, on myself, so I can be more acceptable in a societal company, right? Or society. Um, uh, social situations. Excuse me. Yeah, that's where I was looking. Social situations. So people don't say that, man, this fucking Cobrana guy's a fucking moron, and he's a loud, lewd, crude, sexist, misogynistic piece of shit. It's stuff like that I don't want people to fucking think I am, because I'm not. It's just I'm a very fun-loving dude. I'm a very carefree, free spirit. I probably have to deal with my astrology sign, Aquarius, the water bearer, or just up for almost anything being the key term, almost anything. But I'm a free spirit. It's just who I am. And I'm very energetic, and I love to have a good time. That's me. It's always been me ever since I've been a little kid. I mean, that's just how it goes. So yeah, and that's why. And so I know I'm going off on a tangent, and I apologize, but rolling it back real quick to Batman, and should he be a loner, or should he have the Bat family? I truly believe, and please, if you feel differently, or if you feel the same, please comment below. Let me know, because I do. I believe that he should. He should have that structure, right? Because it makes him. Because fearing death is good. Seeing mortality and knowing that you have a finite amount of time on this Earth, planet, or if you live on another planet, if we colonize other planets someday, you have this finite amount of time that you're given, and you got to make the most of it. But you can't be selfish with it. You got to. I'm not saying you got to be selfless. Sometimes people just have to pick and choose their battles, and that's what I try to do. And yeah, just try to live a good and positive life. Try to be wholesome. Try to help others when you can. I know some people out there seem very disingenuous, but sometimes you don't know where they're coming from. Maybe they're having a bad day, and you're like the 20th person they've asked, and not for a handout, but for a hand up, and maybe they're just tired, and they don't seem that enthusiastic about, or maybe they've just given up hope. All hope has gone, and so they come across very weirdly or weird when they ask, right, for help. I've been in those situations. I actually was in a situation kind of like that the other day. It was really weird because it was in a supermarket parking lot, and if the person really needed help, I didn't understand why they didn't go into the facility, to the supermarket, about a particular thing. But it was just weird. I mean, so I didn't help them because they asked me, if I had a certain item, and I didn't, or at least I didn't think I did, and so I couldn't have helped them even if I wanted to. And but it was just that their approach was just very offsetting, and it just didn't jive with me too well. And also too, I had shit to do as well. And that's the other thing too, is that I feel even if I did have what they needed, I mean, it's like, well, do I have time to fucking? I mean, is it this thing that because they were having, I guess, vehicle trouble, and so I had to, I had my life I had to get back to, and so it just I did not have like 30 minutes to fucking try and see if this is the troubleshoot what the hell is wrong with their vehicle, right? In case alpha didn't work, or example alpha, and I don't feel guilty for it, but usually I'd be like, all right, fuck. But it was just their approach. It was the way that and so if a person doesn't come off, and also too, the whole situation stunk. And I don't mean that. I don't mean that literally. I mean that just figuratively. Like, it didn't jive with me. It felt really weird. First of all, and so yeah. So that's. But if you can help people, please, try to help people. I do believe in karma to some extent. I believe that if you help people who are in need, you'll get some karma points, some cool points too as well. So yeah. But yeah, so so I've been thinking a lot about life and stuff. And yeah, and that's how. But once again, these are my thoughts. I mean, I could be dead wrong about fucking Batman. Maybe you should be a loner. Maybe you should do the Wolverine fucking don't give a damn about anyone else. But I will leave off of this. There's a thing that in the last volume, it's actually the last book of volume 7. I think it's 981 is the single issue of Detective Comics number 981. It's the last issue, the final chapter, James Tywin IV's Detective Comics run. Catherine Kane and Bruce Wayne are sharing a dinner evening out at a restaurant, and Catherine Kane, Batwoman, tells Bruce that her father and his mother would come to this restaurant if something was bothering both of them, because basically they considered it neutral ground, right? So, kind of like the neutral zone, if you will, for Star Trek people. And so Catherine's telling Bruce that basically, listen, look, I need to forge my own path. I need, I think it's great what you're doing, wanting to get a young team and stuff like that, and having protectors of Gotham. But right now, I just need to put that aside and do my own thing. I need to get right with myself, I guess, in so many words. And he's like, no, I totally understand. And yeah, I mean, it's it's good. And he's like, yeah, no, I understand that. And that's like me. It's like and one thing that really stuck out is that he's telling her at the dinner, they're both in plain clothes, so they're not, she, he's wearing a business suit, she's wearing a black dress, a dress, fancy dining. And he basically tells her that, listen, look, I mean, the Batman is what I needed after my parents. Because basically, I'm not going to give away what happens in the story, but there's something that happens, and they actually see a future self of Bruce and what happens, and a future self of Catherine Kane, Batwoman, and a future self of Tim Drake, Red Robin, and how certain things play out. And so Bruce says to her that, listen, look, I mean, the Batman is what I needed to get through his parents' death. That was his therapy. He needed that. And the thing is that he doesn't want, but now that he's seen like a darker path, he doesn't want that to ever happen. Right? He doesn't want to make that that darker path happen. So it's one of those things where we're fighting the villains of Gotham, supervillains or criminals of Gotham City. It's more of a want now than a need. It's more about protecting more than getting over the struggle of coping with his parents' death. Right? It's a want to do good more than a need to do good. And that's what I liked about it. And it kind of ties in very nicely with Tom King's run because of the wedding of Batman and Catwoman and stuff like that. So, and that's in reading that, I was like, that's pretty cool. That that basically, he's telling her this and basically opening up and trusting her with his information, right? And Batman himself just Bruce Wayne self-reflecting and psychoanalyzing himself. Why does he keep doing this? Why, is there that need anymore to be Batman? And really, there's not. But he wants to be Batman because he wants to help Gotham. But he wants to help Gotham in the right way and not in the needful way, that darker path that himself, Catherine Kane, and Tim Drake saw in a very dystopian future. And I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was a beautiful ending to that. And Bruce Wayne being very understanding and caring when it came to Kate Kane's decision of forging her own path. But also too, she said, "Hey, listen, look, if you ever need me, just call. Just give me a heads up. Let me know. I'll always be here for you. We're family." And he said the same. He said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, that goes for you too. If you ever need me, I know you need to forge your own path, but if you ever need me, if you ever need advice, or if you ever need help, I'm here for you. Not just because we're family, because I want to be." Because he even says that I want you to be a part of my life, and I want to be a part of your life. And that's the key point. Just that phrase right there, because I want you in my life. I want you to be a part of my life, and I want you to be a part of my life. That structure, that family dynamic, that groundedness, right? That makes us human, that makes us strive for better. Trying to reach the impossible dream or goal. That right there. And then the last image of them, of both Bruce Wayne and Kate Kane, is them picking up two champagne glasses and basically touching them together, ting, like toasting one another, cheers. And it's just a beautiful scene. It's really a beautiful scene. And so yeah, that's why I say that, yeah, it's James Tywin IV does a beautiful job of once again just wrapping everything up. And like I said, Batman, in my personal opinion, these are my thoughts, is better with a family dynamic. Whether it be crime fighting or just family in general, than being a loner, being that broken bat of like the 80s and 90s. And that's what I call him, the broken bat of the 80s and 90s. Just loner, don't want anything to, very DTA, don't trust anybody attitude. Always has a contingency plan for fucking everything. Non-trusting. So yeah. No more broken bat. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's getting... I know I've been going on for a while, but hey, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody, who watching and listening. And like I said before, comment below. Let me know, please. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends. I hope you enjoyed this My Thoughts video, this podcast. And I hope I didn't get too heady with certain things and too redundant. into like, oh my gosh, this guy, what the fuck, keeps on spinning his wheels. Because I don't like when people spin their wheels. That's how I am. I really hate that. Not hate it, but it's just, come on with the thought. Just push the thought out and get it out there, will you please? Instead of going around the mulberry bush 20 times before. So, like I said before, I hope everyone enjoys this video. And yeah, I can't wait for Avengers Endgame. Like I said before, Chris and I were going to say a Sunday, and we'll probably do our review hopefully Wednesday or Thursday of next week after we've seen it, so we can talk about it. And I'm going to warn you, it's probably going to be heavy spoilers. So if you don't want to know, and I'll put spoiler review in it in the title. So don't worry, I will, just to let everyone know. And I'll probably do a countdown too. And so you can see my beautiful face and be like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, spoilers ahead. Damn, this is what happened to Captain America, and this is what happened to bada bing, bada boom, blah, blah, blah. I can't believe Tony Stark did this shit, and fucking Pepper Potts, and what the fuck, what the hell's going on? The end. Yeah. So, but once again, everybody, thank you so much. Like I said before, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends, and as always, love to all, God bless, and that magic word. Not Shazam, but Aloha. Thank you, everyone.